Hey everybody, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm here with a new layout for the Paige Evans design team. And this week over on Paige's blog, we are focusing on the New Year's theme. And so I decided to sort of create a year in review for 2017. And I found 10 photos that stood out to me as things that were really important and really fun throughout the year. And I tried to print them all on the same sheet, but my printer decided to have an attitude, so I had to use two different sheets, but I finally got them printed. And I'll talk about those later. But what I decided to do here was create a really big 2017, and that's actually one of Paige's cut files. It's the Paige font, and she has two different fonts, and this one's called Paige. And I love that some of it is solid and then some of it is open so you can back it. And I decided to go with some solids here, and I'm going to back all of the shapes with this beautiful colorful paper. It's from Turn the Page collection, and it's number 3. And it's just really pretty, and it's got all of the colors that are in the collection. And so I'm just sort of trying to get as many of the colors in the numbers as I can, two colors in each number, and I'm just gluing them down, and then I'm going to cut around them and do this the old cut and paste format here. You could trace the shapes and then cut them and glue them, and there's a ton of different ways. I kind of just do whatever strikes me at the moment. And it depends on the shape. These are pretty easy to cut, so it did not take very long at all. So I have the numbers, and now I'm going to cut out all of my pictures. And I made them really small, or small enough to where I could fit 10 pictures on a layout without it being overly crowded. And of course I felt like I needed to print them in black and white because these were taken all throughout the year. They were all different colors. You know, some of them are brighter than others. I think all of these were taken with my phone. And so black and white just sort of makes everything sort of neutral, and you can add all the colors you want. And I wanted to do sort of a vertical design with the numbers going up the side like this. I don't do this too often. And I wanted to run them off the page. And so the top part of the numbers are going to be kind of chopped off, but I didn't want it to look so perfect. I wanted it to kind of look like I did that on purpose. And so what I'm going to do is sort of try to create a really pretty watercolor background using most of the colors that I've got going in the numbers. And I pulled out some of my shimmer sprays. I've got a Mango Tango, which is a corally pink. And then this one is called, I believe, Cotton Candy. And then I've got an aqua color, which is called Well Blew Me Down. And then a couple of different yellows. And as you can see here, this is some really nice thick basil marshmallow cardstock, and I did not put any gesso down. And you can see as soon as I flip the paper or the plastic over and smush the watercolor down, it soaks right into the paper, and I love how that looks. If I would have used gesso, it would not have soaked into the paper right away, and I would have been able to kind of blend and smudge it a little bit better. But I like how this looks. I didn't want to use gesso for this. And you can see the splatters, they're soaking right into the paper. And then when I roll the paper towels over them, they don't lighten up too much because they soak right into the paper. But I knew that a lot of this was going to get covered up because of all of those pictures. And I'm going to wind up creating sort of little strips of photos. And of course I'm going to add some gold because this is a sort of a New Year, not necessarily a Happy New Year layout, but a New Year's layout nonetheless. And so I felt like it needed some shimmer and shine. So I'm going to wind up changing this whole idea here in just a second, but this was my original thought. I tried to put my photos in order, and I decided that I needed to keep working on the background. I wanted you to be able to see all of the color, even though I knew a lot of it would get covered up. And I go through several phases where I like it and then I don't like it. And I'm thinking, should I just do something different? I went through pattern papers, and I wanted to use a pattern paper as my background instead of white cardstock, but I knew that I was going to be using a lot of color in the numbers, and I wanted to do some mixed media on the background. And I just felt like with so many pictures that a really busy pattern paper would probably distract and take away from it. So in the meantime, I'm going to go through all my pictures and stick them down on some tissue paper. A lot of these pictures are of me at the gym because that's where my other job is. The first one was in January. We had just done a body pump launch. I'm a body pump instructor if you've ever taken that class or if you've ever heard of it. The second picture of me and all of those people, that was my 41st birthday. I teach a spinning class also, and so that was me on my birthday. I've got pictures of me and my sister. This was the year that she started coming to my classes and working out with me. I've got picture of me on the last day of my 90-day challenge when I did a fitness challenge last January, and I'm in the gym there. A picture of me and my husband on our anniversary. A picture when I met John Schneider, aka Bo Duke, from the Dukes of Hazzard. He was my very first love ever in life, and I got to meet him in May, and it was amazing, and he hugged me, and I told him that he was the first love of my life, and he hugged me again, and then I got to sit in his car, and it was fantastic. The General Lee. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. I could talk about him forever, but anyway, I got to meet him. And I also have a picture of me and my husband in Las Vegas, and a picture of me getting gas right before the hurricane hit, because yeah, that was a pretty big deal this year. But for the most part, it was a great year, and I tried to print off pictures that were representative of that. Oh, and there's also a picture of me and my mom and my sister when we went to a concert. So here we go. I changed things around. I decided to turn the page, and pun intended, since that's the collection I'm using, and put the numbers at the top, and I also stitched through them with gold. And so I'm going to put the title at the top, and then all of the photo strips sort of zigzagged down below. And I went through the turn the page 6x6 paper pad, pulled out some sheets, and I'm just going to sort of create small little background borders in all 4 of the main colors here behind the photo strips. And I'm going to tear them, I'm going to cut them, I'm going to run them through my, what's that little thing called? The edge distressor, to make them look, there it is, edge distressor. It's got a little blade in the middle of it, and it just sort of ruffles up and distresses the edge of the paper. And I really like how this is looking, and I'm going to overlap the top 2 photos on top of the numbers because it's mostly white, and you can still tell that it says 2017. And now my dilemma is, how much space do I leave in between the strips? Because, you know, they do take up a lot of space, but I do want the background to show, and I also want to add some embellishments. The 2 yellow colors I'm using are No Yoking and Glorious Day, sort of combined to match that yellow in the number 2 there. And I really like how this is looking. I'm going to add some chipboard stickers later, and that's from Take Me Away collection. This is the sticker book. If you've seen or heard, I'm sure you've heard of it by now, or you may even have it. It's awesome. It's Paige's 30-page sticker book, and they're not chipboard, almost like cardstock paper stickers. There are clear stickers, foiled stickers, word stickers, planner stickers, speech bubbles, hearts, stars, flowers, you name it. There's everything in that sticker book. It's awesome. These are some of they're almost like vellum speech bubbles, and they have some rose gold foil on them. And there were some sayings that were perfect for some of my pictures. One of them says, the best, oh goodness, what does the circle one at the top say? The best times are coming, something like that. The best is yet to come. The long rectangle one over on the right says, I decided to go for it. And I thought that was perfect for my 90-day challenge that I did. The other one says, wow. And I'm going to wind up cutting out another one soon. But in the meantime, I'm decided to cut out some stars. And that's from the 6x6 paper pad. Because I think of New Year's, I think of fireworks. And of course, stars sort of represent that. So I wanted some stars. And there's a little bit of gold foil on those stars also. I also wanted to pop up the photos, and so you saw me adding some foam. It's just some cheap craft foam that I got from Walmart, and it's got adhesive on one side, and then I just glue the other side down, and it works perfectly. And of course, thread. You know me and my thread addiction. I have to add some thread, and I've got coral, aqua, yellow, and pink to match all of the papers that I've got behind the pictures and most of the stars. And I'm just going to add little bits here and there in all 4 of those colors just because I like it. I think it adds to the messy factor of the background. It adds texture. It adds color. And I just like it. And I'm glad I decided to do this. It was fun to go back and look at pictures, you know, throughout the year, because I tend to scrap things in the past. I'm not very good at scrapping pictures that I've just taken. For a long time, I tried to scrap photos in order that I took them, and then that sort of went out the window. I do skip around. I go, I'll do some really old photos and then I'll do a newer one, but I don't do like this year photos that often. And I don't know why I'm like that. I just don't. So it was fun to scrap something current because I don't do that very often. Here I am with my OCD and my ruler, making sure these lines are straight. And even though the photos aren't perfectly straight in their lines, I still wanted them to maintain some sort of, order to where they weren't too crooked. I'm going to glue all the stars down, and some of them I'm going to glue on top of the pictures. Some of them I'm going to overlap, some of them underneath. It just depends on how it looks in that spot. And I don't want to cover up anything important in any of the photos, and so I make sure not to do that. I definitely didn't want to cover up Bo Duke. Definitely no. There he is right there. And I like how this is looking. I go to the Take Me Away chipboard, and I knew that I wanted to add the word fantastic because I wanted to kind of create a couple of subtitles, and it fit perfectly right there. I'm kind of covering up my legs in the top picture, but you know what? It's just a leg, and when I look at that picture, I know exactly what was going on, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Now I wanted to use awesome also down at the bottom, and it fit perfectly right there. However, it was so light, it's almost a cream color, so I decided to color it with some white paint and some coral color paint because I wanted it to stand out. And so I'm just using my finger and some white acrylic paint. You could also use gesso to do that, but my paint was right there, so I just used it. And then this is another Shimmers paint in a coral color, and I'm just gonna paint it right on, let it dry, and do a couple of coats until it's the color that I want. And you could do this with any chipboard, honestly. There you have it. Looks pretty cool. I love it. You could do that with any color, and it's going to get some texture to it. It's not going to look perfectly smooth because it does have dried paint on it, which is another perk of a DIY situation because it's it's going to look a little bit different than straight out of the package. Here's one of the other one of the vellum stickers from the sticker book. It says moving on, and I thought that was good to put right by the photo of me right before the hurricane because we wanted to just move on and get that thing done, and it was definitely a memory of the year. So even though it wasn't one of my favorites, it still happened, and so it was probably the worst thing of the year, I guess you could say, as far as events or bad things happening, but all turned out well. I'm going back to the sticker book. As you can see, there's some tiny stars, so I thought I would layer a couple of those in here and there, and they're, of course, the perfect colors, and they match. So I didn't want to get too much busier because I felt like there was a lot going on, and I wanted the photos to stand out. I do wind up adding quite a bit of these. These are technically geared towards planners, but there were so many sayings that were perfect for these things. That one says work hard. It was perfect for my gym picture, and then at the top I added this year highlights, added a couple more around the page. But yeah, I love how this turned out. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed watching it come together. I didn't add any journaling, and I did not add the date because I felt like the date was self-explanatory, and I didn't want to junk up the page with a lot of writing. I may go back on the back of it and write down, the month and what happened, but I didn't want to go into a long story about each individual photo because right now I can look at it and tell, oh yeah, I know exactly what was going on. But, the point of scrapbooking is years from now will I remember. So I'll probably go back and document on the back of it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the products or techniques or anything at all, and I'll be more than happy to answer. I really appreciate you guys watching and leaving your comments. Y'all are awesome. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great week.